followed by one note that plays by itself, and two notes together, then one by itself. To start with, I'm just going to be playing the two notes that play together. I'm not going to be playing the single note that plays by itself in between. So together I'm playing my bass note G and my melody note B. The next two that play together is the G and the B. The next two that plays together is an A bass and a C. So I got my A bass here, and I got my C ready down here. Those two notes play again. Then the bass goes to a B, and the melody goes up to a D. And it plays again. And one more time. Then you have some 16th notes that's going up into measure 3. So I'm going to play together again, the G bass and the B melody. Both notes go up, and I have an A and a C. Then I have both notes go up again. I have a B and a D. Now I'm going to play the 16th notes going into the next measure. Now the two notes playing together now is G, and my bass note is an E. The next two notes that play together are the E and the G. Both notes go down. The G comes down to the F, and the E goes to the open. Both notes go down again. I'm playing a C and an E. And the last 8th note is a B bass and a D melody. Here we go for the first line, playing the notes that play together. After you practice that several times and you get comfortable with where your fingers are going, I'm now going to add in that note we've been skipping, which is the G. So I'm playing notes together, G by itself, both of the notes go up, G by itself, both notes go up, one more time on the first line. Going on to the next line of music. Now you have two notes that are playing together that are both melody notes, and the note that plays by itself is the bass note. So right now I'm going to be ignoring the bass notes, and I'm going to be playing the two melody notes. You have a C and you have an A, plays together, plays again, and a third time. Then we have a couple melody notes by itself, E, D. Now the two notes are open G and open B. It plays 3 times. Notes by itself are G and F sharp. So I'm going to go ahead and do those two measures again, leaving out the bass notes. Got C and A, B and G. Now we're to the third measure of this line. And here we're going back and forth between bass note, melody, bass note, melody, bass note, melody. So I'm going to do the bass notes first. You have C, B, A, and G. Notes are C, B, A, and G. The melody notes that play in between are E, D, C, and B. When you put it together, you got bass note, melody note, bass note, melody note, bass, melody, bass, melody. We got C and E, B and D, A and C, G and B. On to the next measure. Play open B and a D. And your melody melody goes up on the 16th notes. So you got B, C, C sharp, D, and then you come down onto an A with your D bass. So I'm going to play those last two measures of that line. C, E, B, D, G, B. Now I'm going to go back to measure 5, which is the start of this line. I'm going to add back in my bass notes. So I have my C and my A ready. I have my bass note ready. And then there's a repeat sign taking you back to the beginning of the song. I'm going to play it again. I'm not continuing on the third line, which is measure 9. Your first note is considered to be both a bass note and a melody note. You have your bass note D, then your next melody notes are C and F sharp and C. So you have D, C, F sharp, C. Same notes play again. And now on measure 10, which is the second measure of this line, I'm going to play the bass notes. G, 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 G. I'm going to go back to measure 9, play all those notes, and then in measure 10 I'm only playing my bass notes. So I've got my D bass, my C, and my F sharp. G, G. So now on measure 10, which is the measure we just played, I'm going to add in my missing melody notes. So my first melody note is G, and then a D, open B, back to D. When you do that with your bass note, you have bass note, melody, bass note, melody, bass note, melody, back and forth. So here I go with my bass is a G. I want to do that again. G, 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 D, G, B, G, B. Now I'm going back to measure 9, start of the line. Ready. The next measure is a lot like measure 9 was. To the next line, which is measure 13. Again, you have to share a bass note with a melody note. Your bass note is C, and then you have open G and open E. Back to your C. C, G, E, C. On the next part, you're moving your bass down to a B, which is the second fret. And you've got G and D as your other notes. Again, it's B, G, D, B. When you put those two parts together, you start on the C, down to the B. I'm going to do that one more time. Measure 14, which is the next measure, second measure of this line. The bass note is D, then you have a C and an F sharp. Do that again. Now your bass note is E, and your other melody notes are B and G. to put both parts together on measure 14. Going back to measure 13 is the start of the line. Now we're on our next to last measure. Bass and melody note is C, open E, C, and then an A, E, C, A. The next part, your bass note is a D, and your melody note is a B. Melody goes up to a D, then you're playing your bass in a C, A by itself. Go on that measure again. C, E, C, A, B, D, C, A. Last measure. G, G, D, B, and G. Again, I'm playing that last measure. G, G, D, B, G. I'm going to go back and play the last two measures of the song. There's also a repeat sign that takes you back to measure 9. I'm going to play from measure 9 and go straight through to the end.